The silence of the room was shattered by the insistent beeping of Jungkook's alarm. He groaned, reaching out to silence it, only to find the space beside him empty. His eyes fluttered open, scanning the dimly lit room. The bed was cold and there was no sign of iron. His gaze swept the room until it landed on you, sleeping peacefully on the couch. A frown creased his forehead as he wondered why you had chosen to sleep there instead of the bed. Silently, he slipped out of bed and padded over to you, sinking to the floor beside the couch. For a moment, he simply watched you sleep, a soft smile tugging at his lips. There was something undeniably adorable about the way you slept, curled up like a cat. But his smile faded as worry crept in. Why had you slept here? You stirred slowly, waking up to find Jungkook's dark eyes gazing at you intently. Blinking in confusion, you wondered if you were dreaming. To test it, you pinched your hand, wincing at the sharp pain. Jungkook chuckled softly. What are you doing? You rubbed your hand and sighed. I thought I might be dreaming. He shook his head, his smile widening. It's not a dream, but tell me, why did you sleep here on the couch instead of in the bed? He asked, looking into your eyes. Actually, last night when you turned on the AC, I felt really cold. You always sleep with the AC on, and I didn't want to wake you or turn it off and make you uncomfortable. So I decided to sleep on the couch. At least it's a bit warmer here, away from the direct blast of the AC. Jungkook's expression softened as he listened. You could have just woke me up or turned it off, you know. You are too considerate sometimes, he said, wrapping his arms around you and pulling you close to his chest. His embrace was warm and comforting, a stark contrast to the cold that had driven you to the couch. As he held you, Jungkook noticed the heat radiating from your body. He pulled back slightly, touching your forehead. You are warm. Are you feeling okay? You nodded through, though you felt a bit under the weather. I feel a little cold and feverish, but it's nothing to worry about. You should have told me. I don't want you to suffer in silence. He hugged you tighter, his embrace both protective and tender. You nestled against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. You should rest. I will handle everything. He insisted, getting up and heading to the bathroom to fresh up. I will arrange your clothes, you offered, but he shook his head firmly. No need, you just rest. I will iron my clothes and get everything ready. Reluctantly, you settled back into bed, grateful for his understanding. However, as soon as Jungkook disappeared into the bathroom, you felt the need to tidy up a bit. Just then, your mother-in-law entered the room, her tone sharp and impatient. Why aren't you up yet? Should I remind you every day to make breakfast? The maids are in leave, and you need to set up, she said curtly. You tried to explain. I was just, come fast and make breakfast. She interrupted, turning and leaving before you could say more. With a sign, you got out of bed and headed downstairs. Despite feeling weak, you managed to prepare breakfast. You set the table and called your in-laws to eat. Just as you finished setting the last plate, Jungkook came down, freshly showered and looking for you. Wyan, what are you doing? I told you to rest, he said, frustration evident in his voice. Your mother-in-law spoke up before you could respond. I told her son, maids are on leave, someone has to do the work. Jungkook's expression darkened. Mom, hire more maids if you need to. Wyan is sick. She shouldn't be doing any work. Ignoring her mother's glance, he turned to you. Come, Wyan, sit down and eat. I will eat later. Let me make sure everything is ready for everyone first. But Jungkook wouldn't hear it. He put a plate of breakfast in front of you and gently guided you to sit next to him. You need to eat now. We will handle anything else later. As he started feeding you, his care and attention were clear and you couldn't help but feel comforted. Across the table, your father-in-law watched with a pleased smile, obviously touched by the sight of you two together. Your mother-in-law, however, was seething inside. She had hoped for a grand match for her mafia son, someone from a powerful family, not a middle-class girl like you. But Jungkook had fallen in love with you and got married to you. Her dislike for you was evident in the way she constantly found ways to make you work despite your condition. After breakfast, Jungkook turned to you with concern in his eyes. If your fever gets worse, let me know. We can go to the hospital, okay? You nodded, appreciating his care. He kissed your forehead before heading out, and your father-in-law retired to walk in the garden for some fresh air. No sooner had they left than your mother-in-law appeared, her expression stern. Make sure you finish all the household chores today. Start by cleaning our room. You nodded and made your way to their room. As you entered the room, you signed, looking at the mess. As you began sweeping, your father-in-law walked in. Why are you sweeping our room? Where are the workers? The workers are on leave, you explained. Mother told me to clean your room. She always tries to overwork you and hates you. Why do you always listen to her? You don't need to do any of this work. If you continue, I will inform to Jungkook. You shook your head. No, uncle, please don't do that. Please. Just then your mother-in-law entered the room. Come on, there is more work to be done, she ordered, ignoring the conversation. Why do you keep torturing her? She is our daughter-in-law. You don't need to explain anything to me. If you don't stop, I will tell Jungkook about this, that you are overworking his wife when she is in high fever. Her eyes narrowed. If you say anything, you will face the consequences. Desperate to keep the peace, you intervened. Uncle, please don't. You two shouldn't fight because of me. And don't say anything to Jungkook. I'm willing to do this work, and I'm also used to this type of works in my home. So don't worry. You said to cool down the situation. Your father-in-law looked at you, his face a mix of frustration and pity. He muttered a curse under his breath, aimed at your mother-in-law before walking away. Your mother-in-law watched him leave, then she turned back to you. Finish cleaning this room and then move on to the next task, and do it quickly. After a long and exhausting day of doing all the housework, you finally managed to get some rest. That night, Jungkook came back home late and headed straight to your bedroom. Around 4 p.m., he had asked you about your health condition and how the fever was. You assured him you were okay and didn't need to go to the hospital. He walked inside the dark bedroom, turning on the light, and you woke up because of light. I'm sorry, I woke you up, he said softly. No, it's fine, you replied, sitting up. You go and fresh up, and I will bring dinner. Jungkook frowned, noticing your pale complexion. How is your fever now? You still look unwell. Don't worry about dinner. I will go and eat. You need to rest. You shook your head. No, it's fine. I haven't had dinner yet either. We can eat together. What? You haven't eaten yet? Why were you waiting for me? You need to eat on time, especially when you are sick. You should have eaten with mom and dad. It's okay, don't worry about it. I'm fine. You go and fresh up, and I will bring dinner. Jungkook signed but went to fresh up. A few minutes later, as he changed into comfortable clothes, he saw you coming in with a food tray. Just then you felt dizzy and weak from the heavy work you had done all day. The tray slipped from your hands and clattered to the floor, grabbing Jungkook's attention. Before you could fall, he quickly caught you in his arms. You leaned against his chest, feeling faint and pale. Worry etched across his face as he gently laid you on the bed and called the doctor. He held you close, rubbing your back soothingly. See how weak you have become. Don't ever do this again. Don't skip your meals. You nodded, touched by his concern. His eyes were filled with genuine worry, and you couldn't help but feel a warm sense of comfort and love. I'm sorry, you whispered, melting at the sight of his care for you. As the doctor entered the home, Jungkook's father, Mr. John, was in the hallway reading a book. Seeing the doctor, he asked, "Hello doctor, what brings you here?" Jungkook called me. He said Ryan fainted. Mr. John frowned in concern. What? Yes, the doctor confirmed. Together they went upstairs to Jungkook's room. Doctor checked Ryan and said, "She is very weak. Make sure she gets enough rest and had her meals on time and use these tablets." With that, doctor left. Mr. John turned to Jungkook, a serious expression on his face. Jungkook, I need to tell you something. What is it, Dad? Your mother gave Ryan heavy work to do while she has a fever. I told Ryan that I would inform you, but she begged me not to. Is that true, Dad? Yes. Ryan, why did you do that? I'm sorry, I didn't want to cause any trouble. I willed myself to do the work. Jungkook shook his head, clearly torn. Okay, you take rest. I will be back in a few minutes. You grabbed his hand, your voice soft and pleading. Are you going to talk to mother? Please don't, Jungkook. I choose to do the work. Jungkook looked at you for a long moment, then nodded reluctantly. Alright, just rest. I will be back soon. Jungkook stormed downstairs, his face flushed with anger. Mom, he shouted, his voice echoing through the hallway. Mistress John hurried down, her expression turning to one of surprise at his tone. What is it, Jungkook? What did you do to Ryan? You gave her heavy work to do while she has a fever. Is this because I married her instead of the match you wanted for me? Mistress John tried to respond, but Jungkook cut her off. She is my wife, Mom. Please don't do this to her. If you need work done, I will hire more workers. But don't make her do it, and don't ever do this again. His mother opened her mouth to argue, but the intensity in his eyes made her pass. I mean it, Mom. If this happens again, there will be consequences. Respect her as my wife and as part of this family. Without waiting for a response, Jungkook turned and headed back upstairs. Mistress John stood there in silence and frozen by his words. After talking to his mother, Jungkook went upstairs and returned to your side. You looked at him with concern. Where did you go? I think you went to ask Mom, right? It's nothing. You need to rest. Do you remember what the doctor said? You should take care of your health and stay healthy. Come, I will feed you and then you can rest. He diverted the topic to not prolong it because you already know he went to ask his mom. But you haven't eaten either, you pointed out. I will eat after you, he said. You shook your head, insisting, no, I will feed you and you feed me. We will eat together. Jungkook smiled at your determination and agreed. The two of you shared the meal, each bite a symbol of your care and love for one another. After finishing dinner, Jungkook handed you the tablets the doctor had prescribed and made sure you took them. He then gently laid you on the bed and settled beside you, holding you close. Please, Ryan, don't do this kind of work and don't skip your meals. You are the love of my life, and I can't bear to see you so weak. It hurts me, you nodded. I understand, Jungkook. I will take better care of myself. He signed, a hint of sadness in his eyes. Mom isn't angry at you, but she resents you because I turned down the match she arranged and married you instead. I hope one day she will understand and accept you as her daughter-in-law. That's all I want, Jungkook, you said softly. I hope that day comes true. Jungkook hugged you tightly. It will. Just rest now. As you closed your eyes, you whispered a silent prayer that one day your mother-in-law would come to see the love and happiness you brought into her son's life.